get started, a number of really, I think, great things to mention. Since we last met, we learned that, and some of this I spoke about at the board meeting, so I apologize if you were there and you're hearing this the second time. But we learned that our chairman of the Board of Trustees, Bill Netcher, has been chosen by the Association of Community College Trustees to receive the ACCT 2019 Northeast Region M. Dale Henson Trustee Leadership Award, which is fantastic. It's a prestigious award. It recognizes Bill's years of exemplary leadership on our board and in support of the college. He'll actually be presented the award at a major event at the October ACCT Leadership Congress in San Francisco. And then as the recipient of this award for the Northeast region of the United States, so there are, I think, 5 regions, and each region is recognizing an outstanding trustee. The Northeast region in the U.S. is ours. But he will also then be considered for the National Trustee of the Year Award, which is announced at the conference. So the 5 regional recipients are honored, and then that evening, I think at the gala, they choose the Trustee of the Year. So we thank and congratulate Bill and celebrate this national recognition of his leadership and of our college. And as is typical for him at the board meeting that was last night, he said, you know, I'm not into that kind of recognition, but if it brings recognition to college, I'm all for that, and it really will. So we're very, in fact, I'd like to say it's nice to see increased visibility for the college. I hope you're feeling this. I certainly am. We're seeing more and more visibility locally, regionally, statewide, and nationally. And Nicholas isn't here, but I've asked Nicholas Chevalati in his new role as Vice President for External Relations and Senior Counsel to the President, that's one of our clunky titles, but he's going to be leading efforts to seek national visibility such as this, recognition of our board chair. So I've actually asked Nicholas to be our point person when there are nominations or recognitions, programs, people, facilities, students. He will kind of shepherd our submitting worthy individuals and other projects for consideration for these kinds of recognitions. And so I also thanked him for the role he played in the college's nomination of Chairman Netcher. Now, since we last met, we were also officially notified of the full reaccreditation of our Culinary Arts Institute by the American Culinary Federation Education Foundation. And this includes new program accreditations in baking and pastry. And these new accreditations bring the total number of our HCCC accredited programs to 8. And we have a number of new additional applications for accreditation under consideration. I think they include medical assisting, business administration, engineering, and our early college program. As I mentioned at the board meeting, really, you know, program or disciplinary accreditation is, I think, without doubt, the greatest evidence of quality and excellence, because you're having to meet the standards established not by the college, but in the field across the nation. And it's, as those of you, like our nurses know, it requires an incredible due diligence, energy, institutional commitment, funding. And so if you meet those standards, you know, I think we can feel really good about saying we offer quality programs. And for that reason, when faculty and staff have an interest in seeking program accreditation, we want to support that to the fullest extent possible. We're not mandating it. I think in some cases it probably makes more sense than in others. In some cases we're better positioned than in others. But overall, we want to fully support those efforts when folks come forward and say they'd like to pursue that accreditation. But for this particular accreditation, I do want to congratulate and thank, and I'm glad he's here, Associate Dean Paul Dillon, Marissa Lontock, and other culinary arts faculty and staff. Also Heather DeVries, who plays an important role, and many others for their leadership. So again, congratulations. Anything you want to say?
It was a great process. It was a great learning process. I think the team that I had with Marissa and Aaron Saroon and Sharon all really made it gel. You know, they did an on-site visit, and you never know who you're going to get for that on-site visit. And We have, you don't always agree with the accrediting agency, so we had some issues that we were not in agreement with that we had to address, and then it was voted on. And the interesting aspect of the voting for the accreditation occurs is that the visiting team does not vote. They simply write a report, then it goes to the accrediting board, and they then make that decision. So we have 5 years now where we can breathe easy, tighten the ship a little bit, and hopefully in 5 years we will have launched our new bachelor's program. We'll get that approved, and that would then be eligible for accreditation in 5 years as well too. So that's kind of the strategic direction that we're trying to go with. But thank you, Chris, and thank you for your support.
How could this program not be accredited? It's easy for me to say, right? As we begin a new budget year, I'd like to mention efforts to expand college-wide participation in the budget planning process. So you may recall last spring, Vice President Veronica Zeitner and her team offered information sessions throughout the college regarding the budget process. I think that went really well. I heard some very good feedback about it. I thank Veronica, and I've asked that she continue this practice going forward. And you may remember we had asked at that time, this was the first attempt at this, we had asked for best ideas around potential investments related to growing our enrollment, promoting student success, and also scenarios for reducing budgets if we had to. And fortunately, we didn't have to implement significant budget reductions, but unfortunately, we didn't really receive the kind of information we were seeking for potential new investments. So we're going to refine our process next January to be clearer about what we'd like you to consider and suggest to us so that we want to reward good ideas and find ways to actually fund them. Also, as we continue to improve this process next year, informed by your and others' input, the Cabinet at the end of the process will review all cost centers at the conclusion of the process in order to consider any internal reallocations we might want to make or additional investments through new sources of funding that changes that will support our values and priorities, drawing on the ideas presented by our college community. So good news, there's a lot of good news in this. Our budget is well managed, and I do salute Veronica and her team for that, and I have complete confidence that it not only is it well managed, and I've commented on this before, Veronica's made prudent decisions in her leadership for forecasting what our revenue is going to be such that we mitigate declines in credit when those happen. And we've been seeing some gradual increased revenue over expense. So it's well managed. We have auditing processes underway now. I think that'll be completed in October. But based on what I know, I'm cautiously optimistic we're going to see another another increase in net position. So that's the good news. We don't have lots of new money, although we were able to make investments this year, principally in salaries and benefits, which is where they needed to be, and we want to continue to do that wherever possible. But we do hope that we can not only try to mitigate cutting budgets, but rather than just having an annual process where we look at what you spent last year, and then unless we don't have the money, that's pretty much what you get the next year across the board. We'd like to be more surgical in our approach and more intentional about trying to make sure that those limited funds we do have are invested in the most critically important areas as a reflection of our values, our priorities, et cetera. So we're going to keep refining the process with those goals in mind. And I did become aware of a few concerns and questions recently about perceived or real changes in operating budgets this year versus last year. In some cases, the reason for these changes may be unclear, or perhaps the changes were unintended. So I've asked Eric Friedman, who's not here today, and Veronica to review these questions and where appropriate address concerns. So while the budget is out, and overall I think our budget is, this year it's higher than last year, right?
Like $1.6 million higher than last year. Based on the forecasted revenue.
So, well, that's going to be in salaries and benefits, but nonetheless, if there are any concerns about, why did the operating budget decrease, and you're not understanding, some of this has come forward, we want to understand what the concern is, and if we need to address it and make any changes, it's not like there's a lot of new money, but we do want to try to address that. There really shouldn't have been any really significant operating budget cuts. So together we'll continue to improve our budget process by bringing more college-wide participation and visibility to the process. Anything you want to say, Veronica?
Well, I think you've said it all, but I did spend some time with Dr. Friedman on Monday to go line by line and taking another look at a couple of things like this reallocation. But if there is any real concerns, please reach out to me. Personally, Denise obviously has left, and we're in the process of recruiting for a new position. But I'll be working with the accounting department and Jeff said to make any adjustments that we need going forward.
Very good, and you're reminding me that we should congratulate Chris Seeley. Chris is here.
Yes, Chris is going to be my assistant.
So Chris is moving. So it's bittersweet. He's leaving communications and marketing, and he'll be missed, but he's now moving into our financial brain center. So solution. We continue to engage the college community around our shared vision for continuous improvement in the areas of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I've been discussing and developing a draft statement pertaining to the college's commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, and the composition and charges for our new President's Advisory Council on DEI that we have discussed. It was interesting this summer. I put a lot of my time this summer to this, and I've been amazed at how many examples there are nationwide. I guess I'm not amazed, but if you just Google Advisory Council for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, they're everywhere, and they're in they take different shapes and forms, of course, depending upon where they are. But what I've tried to do is incorporate some what appear to be best practices in this kind of organization into a draft document that now is getting refined through college-wide input and discussion, and that's going to be a continuing process. To date, this draft statement has been discussed by our Board of Trustees, or at least they've been invited to give input, and some have by our Cabinet, our President's Executive Council, with officers and representatives of all College Council, representatives of our Educational Opportunity Fund. We're going to talk about it briefly today, and it will soon be reviewed by Jose Lowe's All College Council Subcommittee that is going to be administering a campus climate survey in the fall. And we will gather feedback and continue to do so from all of these constituencies and others, and then we'll continue to refine the document. The goal is, at the end of the day, we'll have a document that we all own, and that has been really improved and refined with lots of participation. Our plan then is working with the All College Council. We want to discuss this briefly, at least at our College Service Day, and then at the first meeting later that day of the All College Council. So it's very much a work in progress, but I'd like to briefly share the current draft. I wasn't even going to do this today because I'm really interested in getting the feedback from Jose's subcommittee, but I thought since we're meeting, and between now and the next meeting, a lot of stuff's going to happen. Maybe we can even put it on the screen and at least talk about it. This is very much a draft. In fact, I think there's been some tweaking to the draft since this, but I thought we could just maybe read through it together and then talk about it. You will then eventually receive an updated, everyone will receive an updated draft to review before College Service Day that reflects the input we continue to gather, and we invite everyone's input. So what I thought I might do is just read with you each section, and we can talk about it if we wish, section by section, and then maybe at the end. So it starts with, remember to see this is all draft, okay? A statement about our values and commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. So Hudson County Community College is proud of its diversity, including one of the most diverse student bodies in the United States. The college is committed to the value and principle that all members of the HCCC community should be treated with respect, dignity, and kindness. Our community celebrates diversity and unity and welcomes all people onto our campus and into our community. We believe that celebrating diversity benefits everyone. The HCCC community encourages culturally aware curricula, recruitment of and opportunities for diverse populations, including administration, faculty, staff, and students, diversity training and education that's available to everyone, mediation of differences that may arise among our community to derive the best possible solutions and compromises available, encouragement of diverse conversations and philosophical discussions without censure or hostility. I can tell you some of that is already underway. Encouragement, and treating all community members with respect and encouraging their voices to be heard. That's the first section. Would you like to stop and talk about each one, or would you like to go through it all and then talk? What's your preference?
Do it all.
I'm sorry?
Do it all.
Do it all, okay. So, President's Advisory Council on Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. The Hudson County Community College President's Advisory Council on DEI provides leadership, support, and counsel in fostering a welcoming, diverse, equitable, and inclusive environment that embraces our shared values among all HCCC constituencies. The Council contributes to the achievement and continuous improvement of policies, procedures, programs, services, and outcomes in support of a college culture that values, respects, and celebrates diversity in all of its forms. Through engagement with all parts of the HCCC community, the Council develops and recommends for presidential and board approval a strategic plan for diversity, equity, and inclusion. The Council provides advice and support to the President and college leadership in the development and achievement of HCCC's diversity, equity, and inclusion goals. The Council also develops and evaluates annual action plans that promote the college's DEI goals, including the recruitment, retention, and success of a community of employees and students comprised of diverse identities that are broadly representative of the region HCCC serves, and employee diversity that reflects the diversity of the college's student body. The Council supports programs and services that promote and celebrate diversity in all of its forms. Appointed by the President in collaboration with the Board of Trustees, all College Council, President's Executive Council, Student Government Association, and others, members of, what did I do there? Others, members of the President, members of the President's Advisory Council on Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Include students, faculty, staff, alumni, trustees, foundation board members, and community representatives. And then we go into some definitions. So diversity refers to the ways in which the organizational culture supports, celebrates, and encourages a wide variety of backgrounds, life experiences, values, worldviews, and approaches. Equality ensures that everyone has an equal opportunity to be successful. Equity ensures the removal of barriers to fair treatment, access, opportunity, and advancement for all community members so that all have the capability to be successful. Inclusion refers to efforts around building a welcoming environment in which community members feel respected, supported, and valued to participate. Diverse identities include, among others, race, ethnicity, gender identity and expression, culture, national origin, sexual orientation, religion, physical and mental abilities, marital status, socioeconomic status, creed, class, age, profession, veteran status, and regional identity. And then we develop charges for the President's Advisory Council on Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Review data about employee, student, and regional demographics, student and employee recruitment and retention, campus climate, and other metrics to inform the work of the Council. Develop assessment tools in order to better understand issues and efforts related to DEI. Advise the President and college leadership on all matters pertaining to DEI, including recruitment and hiring, employee success, student retention and student success, services, programming, climate, partnerships with community agencies, and others. Advise college leadership regarding ongoing and new initiatives that have the potential to create a more diverse and inclusive campus community. Provide advice and counsel to college leadership and support college-wide efforts to recruit, retain, and promote faculty and staff from diverse and underrepresented populations so that employee diversity reflects the diversity of students, and similarly support efforts to ensure that student diversity reflects the diversity of Hudson County. Listen to and engage the college community and its participatory governance groups in fostering an environment of shared responsibility and accountability for the development and implementation of the strategic plan for diversity, equity, and inclusion, and subsequent PEI action plans. Lead and support efforts to assess the campus climate on issues pertaining to DEI and offer suggestions and proposals to address climate concerns. Actively promote and celebrate a culture that values DEI. Support the ongoing professional development of college employees and educational opportunities for students pertaining to DEI. Support college-wide efforts to promote student success with a particular focus on achievement and equity gaps within specific communities. Support college-wide initiatives to address issues of food insecurity, homelessness, and specific issues of concern to student, faculty, and staff immigrants. Foster cultural competency, intercultural, and personal development that is best supported in a climate that respects differences and provides a sense of belonging and inclusion throughout the college community. Plan, implement, and support activities and events that heighten awareness of issues related to diversity and provide greater opportunities for individuals to interact around issues of diversity. Formally and publicly recognize students, faculty, staff, and community members who contribute to a culture of diversity, equity, and inclusion at Hudson County Community College. Support and bring visibility to successful efforts to promote the academic and life success of a diverse student body, and consider the efficacy of creating an HCCC Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, and make recommendations to college leadership. The membership will be broadly representative of the HCCC community and reflective of the diversity of its students, including student, faculty, staff, trustee, foundation, and community representatives. Council members and officers will be appointed by the president in consultation with the board of trustees, all college council, president's executive council, student government association, and other community members. The president will invite nominations, including self-nominations for membership. Council members will serve 3-year terms that are renewable. The All College Council will appoint 2 ACC representatives to serve as standing members of the President's Advisory Council on DEI. These representatives will report to the ACC on the activities of the Council and serve as ACC liaisons for integrating the work of both organizations as appropriate, including the research and proposal of ACC governance recommendations pertaining to the college's DEI strategic plan and annual action plans. The Board of Trustees will appoint a trustee representative, and the Student Government Association and HCCC Chapter Phi Theta Kappa will each appoint 1 member representative. Sorry, that's longer than, it's got longer, but, and we can go back and look at any part of it. Love to hear all of your comments. Realize you know, this is something that requires a lot of reflection, so you're going to be seeing this, but I at least wanted to take the opportunity to introduce it to you today. So I welcome comments. Yes, ma'am, thank you.
I have a couple, I guess. I think the first one, in terms of the definitions, I think that I would love to see how these may actually evolve as per the council, and what the council would consider the college to define, how the college should define diversity for the college and for everything that it does. So I think that would be interesting to see how that maybe evolves a little bit.
Yep.
And also, I think that it will be really important to have the body of the council and, whatever recommendation that they make, but to have almost like a focused lens as to which they can look at each area, right? Each
Yes.
area of the college, whether it's administrative staff, student focused, but to have that special lens sort of that they look through and what each area contributes or does in terms of diversity as far as how it defines it. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that works out.
Excellent. And you make a really sort of illustrated important point. So this is a starting point. Even when we finish this, it's a starting point, right? I'm envisioning, but this is open to everybody's comments, a larger group. I mean, a group of 30 or something like that. And then the council, I don't intend I don't want to go to all the meetings. I see myself going to some of them, but I really want not to be the leader of the group. I would like to have chairs or co-chairs lead the group so that it's the group's comfortable really talking about all issues and then can advise me. And so I'm not going to always be at the table, but you know, I would envision if we have a document that looks something like this at the end, the council will then begin to decide, okay, we're not going to do all those charges in a year. You know, where do we want to focus our attention? And they may very well decide to tweak or change. This probably will become a living sort of document. But I am hoping the group will really engage local college community so it becomes a source of promoting engagement and bringing together ideas, concerns, and providing leadership. So I think that. Others, yes, Archana.
I was wondering how you see the Office of Diversity in relation to the existing disability office that we have. I was wondering how you see that forming. Will they be collaborative? Will they merge? How will that happen? Because I see in your diverse identities, it's also included mental and physical abilities.
So, good question. So, you know, accessibility is a component of this, but this is looking at all issues in the college, trying to provide college-wide leadership. So, in my own sense is that, I think this is what I see in other places, this is a group that's going to be trying to support really all parts of the community as it relates to any or multiple aspects of this, and bring them into this, and there will probably be some representatives of various groups, but it will become a group that looks at the college from a broader lens and tries to, you know, by creating something like a diversity, strategic plan for diversity, equity, and inclusion, that's looking at overarching principles and larger goals, and then helping facilitate how all of us can play a role within our own scope or responsibility. And you know, we just added this bullet about researching the efficacy of an office. I was meeting with the all college council officers and several others here, and this came up like, you know, you think maybe we are going to need an office and a chief diversity officer, which I've always been thinking about as part of this. I said, you know, it wouldn't surprise me if we see this as the starting point of that. And so the advice to me was, well, why don't we just put it on there? So we did. We may at the end of the day decide that's a good idea, not a good idea. What would it do exactly? I just gave you one, you know, sort of off the top recommendation, if you want. That's helpful too. So others. Does anyone have concerns? Are there concerns here? Let me share one. Yeah, go ahead, Elizabeth.
Mine's really, it's a concern that's really minor, and it comes from being on Jose's committee, which is how do you be inclusive, but also not have everyone in the whole world who wants to be on this committee be there, because you're not harmony.
That is a concern. So what I've done, you know, as we've been talking about this, some people have contacted me and said, I'd really love to be part of that. Some people have said, I think so-and-so should be part of that. So I've kept a list of those that have just come to me. It's already. And then we really would like, I don't know what the overlap is with that list and your subcommittee, but I mean, we've got this robust subcommittee of people that have come forward saying, I'd like to be involved in that. So I think we'd like to look at those. I would love to ask for self-nominations, you know, formally. So that is going to be tough. We're going to have to, and I welcome suggestions for how to ultimately choose, and it'll always be a matter of, you know, wanting within the constraints of how many, you know, there are only so many people that can do this at one time and be effective, making sure that that is as broadly representative and brings, you know, its own diversity to the work. I am suggesting as a President's Advisory Council that the President ultimately make the appointments, but in broad consultation with others. But that is a good one, I think, because we have a lot of interest. Yeah.
Has the President's Advisory Council met yet?
The President? No, we have not yet. We have not yet finished this work. This is work in progress, so I really want to make sure before we assemble a group and start something that we get full input into all of this, the charge, the description, the composition. So that's the due diligence we're doing right now. My hope is we'll have a nearly final draft starting point by right after College Service Day. And I think ACC plans to share this the updated draft between now and then at their first meeting to ask for feedback and then potentially all college council's endorsement of this. So my thinking is once that work's completed, hopefully by the start of the fall semester, we'll tackle Elizabeth's problem and actually invite the first members to convene and begin the work.
So who crafted this document, because I missed that?
Yours truly, but I started it by looking at best practices nationwide, and they're all over the place. And then so I tried to draw from those. I decided, I've been talking about this for a long time. Maybe the best way to really get everyone's input is to actually draft something that people can then respond to, add to. And so this has grown a lot and changed a lot since I did the first draft. So this now represents the work of a lot of people, but it's still very much a draft. Others? Let me share one concern that I thought resulted in one meeting a really important conversation, and I hope we have more of these, and I'll just share it with you. So this has been, what's been proposed here obviously is a concern for identifying issues and embracing continuous improvement of diversity, equity, and inclusion in its broadest sense. We see the diverse identities. We're talking about many aspects of diversity. And one concern that has been shared with me a number of times now is, but if the most important outcomes that we want to achieve are things like ensuring that our workforce reflects the diversity of our students, which if you look at the metrics, and I look forward to this group helping provide metrics for discussion, the gaps, not surprisingly, are principally in the Latino community. If you just look at how many students there are and how many staff there are. If we're really serious about that work, like really, how are we going to really make sure we close those gaps and have success in recruiting a more diverse employee workforce? Does all this other stuff get in the way of that? You're trying to do all this stuff. Should it be more focused? Yes, sir.
Well, I like the idea that you promoted it in the sense that it's thank you. It's a living document. It's going to be updated and changed as it progresses forward. So I see the focus maybe changing every so often. Maybe some things being put on pause until other things are addressed. But personally, I like the idea that it's there and you will be out there and change. And the fact that you have ideas about maybe having like an office, and you're not putting it out there, just saying, let's let this play out, see how it evolves. I think it's a good approach.
Thank you. And Elizabeth?
I think first of all, the focus of the committee may be in part at least determined by the results of the survey and what the community feels should be the main focus. And my guess is that maybe will be it, but, and I think I've heard you talk about this before, and you've talked about the development of a DEI master plan, yeah. And so I think that that's really where the committee, they're giving advice. They're not actually doing the hiring, for example. So I think that they'll be able to figure out where to focus and how many things they can attack at once. And as Yura said, I think it's important to have everything possible now. Better. I teach my students when they write, put everything down, and then you can take that out later.
So I appreciate that's really helpful. So we're looking at all these things are important, but we're also going to be developing a strategic plan with specific focuses, and then I've added annual action plans from that. So in any given year, those might be just 1, 2, or 3 things that are going to be the focus. Other thoughts? One of the things we also added since my first draft is we specifically talk about supporting immigrants, student, faculty, staff, immigrants. Sorry, on the new carpet. I am so sorry. Immigrants and also, you know, considering issues of food insecurity and homelessness as part of the broad work of this. Maybe different points of view, but is that appropriate? Yeah. I'm glad you came today.
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, so the latter deals with equity. So I think that it is, not that they would necessarily take the lead, but it should be in the scope. And immigrants are a group, an underrepresented group, and a group who need special support. So I think it absolutely fits in.
Any other thoughts? What I really hope we continue to have these conversations, and I think this is just the beginning of it. In my work at previous institutions around this sort of thing, and I've done this in several other places. If we're doing it well, what will happen is, and I think this is a good thing. We'll be stirring the pot a little bit in terms of our feelings, and I think we'll be talking about things that people feel passionate about. I already got myself doing that, and so from time to time there will be some maybe consternation, maybe angst, but I think that's part of the educational process, right? We need to do that civilly, of course, but I'm hoping we can do that. You know, as we have concerns, not just sort of pay lip service to political correctness or whatever, but really let's talk about these issues, because there's a lot of important stuff here, and we aren't all going to agree on all of it. And I'm hoping that's part of what this does. It generates our talking together. We may have differences of opinion about how we approach these things. So anyway. It hopefully becomes an ongoing part of our culture, and I'm really anxious to continue to work with all of you. Okay, and I want to just talk about a couple of other things. One is that I'm pleased to share that our Student Center renovation project is progressing very well, and I'm told it's now on schedule for completion at the end of this calendar year. It had gotten off to a late start through no fault of ours, this late permitting and such, and we've caught up. That's the good news. The project to replace the North Hudson campus roof has been delayed by late receipt of permits, although I think we got the one we needed now, just like yesterday, right? So that is also late. In fact, we really had hoped it would be almost finished by now, and it hasn't yet started, but it's about to start. So the good news is we're beginning construction, and we will have a new roof, which should solve our perennial leakage problems at our North Hudson campus. The bad news is that the late start means that construction will continue through the month of September and into the academic year. And we've looked at this, we think we can manage that. It's certainly not ideal. Those wonderful faculty and staff at North Hudson that have graciously moved into a shared multi-purpose space are going to be there a little bit longer than they wanted. But I do want to thank Dr. Friedman, yours Pujols, Elia, and all of our colleagues at North Hudson for their continued cooperation and understanding, and Elia, and you and your team and others for your leadership. Anything you want to say beyond that?
No, basically we on top of that, and we want to go to
Yours, anything you want to say?
Yeah, I just wanted to add that we're going to be as flexible as possible when it comes to the faculty. I understand that once we finish, it's not like, oh, we're going to move you out by this date. Some people are going to have classes going on, they're going to have some projects. So we'll have a timeline, and we're going to make it as flexible and as accommodating to the faculty as possible. So we're getting into September, but
But you know what? It's going to be a whole new roof. It's going to be fixed. We're going to have those solar panels actually doing the work at full capacity that they were intended to do. So
brand new carpet too.
brand new carpet. We're also making good progress in our work with iFactory to completely redesign our college website with the latest technology. We're having regular meetings now and are currently reviewing content throughout the site, which is not a small matter. And recently, we were delighted to receive an anonymous and very timely gift of $155,000 in support of this project. It's anonymous, but I want to thank Nick. Too bad Nicholas is not here today. He played the leadership role in bringing this gift to fruition, which will give us some degrees of freedom if we need to enhance the plan. And I think one of the things we want to do is make sure that our consultant is also leading us through the redesign of the portal, not just the website, but the portal. So this gift may help us get that added work done. And then I'm really pleased to share that we've retained a new digital marketing manager. He was approved at the board meeting last evening. Andres Valencia possesses superior skills in the areas of videography and the use of social media and marketing. You're gonna, I'm sorry.
Excellent.
Yes, I was blown away. He really has passion about videography and things we can do to bring visibility to our stories, which is what we all know we want to do. So he'll be starting here in early September. And I'm also delighted to share for those who aren't aware that I really played no role in this, but I love being able to talk about it. The college recently submitted a 5-year, $3 million Title V grant application for Hispanic serving institutions. If this is funded, the grant will support the continued development of our guided pathways work, and we expect to receive notification of the outcome of this grant application in September. And I think kudos and thanks are directed to Uris, Nicholas, Sean, Kurtwick, Idea James, and other colleagues. Am I leaving out? I know I'm leaving out. Chris Wall. Fantastic. Thank you so much. Does anybody want to say anything about that? Tough group today. Yeah, but it's fantastic. How about a round of applause? $3 million. We're looking forward to the first campus visit of our Achieving the Dream leadership coach, Dr. Mary Fifield, and data coach, Dr. Renee Garcia. They're going to be here in just a couple of weeks, August 27th and 28th. They'll be engaging with faculty, staff, and students on both campuses. They will participate in our College Service Day on August 28th. And our HCCC Student Success Steering Committee, which we call the Dream Team, is comprised of some 30 faculty, staff, and students. It's co-chaired by Dr. Sheila Dinan and Heather DeVries. Are either of them? Sheila's on vacation, I know. Is Heather here?
She's out today.
She spoke about this at our Board of Trustees meeting. So we're going to get started now in full force. When they're here, they're going to be having meetings all across campus on both campuses. And they'll be meeting with different constituency groups, with IR and IT folks, with leadership. They'll be speaking with us at College Service Day. There'll be an open forum on both campuses, and so there will be an opportunity to introduce them face to face with the college. They're becoming very familiar with the college. They're very much watching and learning about what we do. But there'll be a chance for them to meet you, but also to begin talking about how they can support what is ultimately going to be our work and our distillation of priorities, goals, use of data, etc. And I think you're going to like both of them. They're really great people. So we look forward to welcoming them. And I also want to say that we're making good progress with enrollment at our new site at the Frank Gargiulo campus of the Hudson County Schools of Technology and Sea Caucus. And this, of course, is thanks to the leadership of Executive Director Chris Conson and his team. We now have a team in place there. And has the number changed? Has the number changed?
Well, we were at 3. One was temporary full time. We'll be 3 again.
I meant the enrollment.
Oh, the enrollment. No, it's
All right, we're at 23. So right now we're at 23 new students enrolled in our first evening credit course offerings to the community at the Secaucus site. And this number is growing, and we have 6 weeks before the start of classes there. So I think we're going to have a respectable first cohort. This is evening students, not high school students, that are there actually taking our credit courses. And we are actually offering 2 full degree programs. So far we only have a couple of students enrolled in those full degree programs. Their intent would be to do the whole degree there, but I think over time, as we grow enrollment and awareness of that site, which is so phenomenal, we're going to see this as a new center of engagement for our community. So thank you. If there's anything you want to share.
It's been a great time getting to know the local individuals, particularly in Sea Caucus. I've been meeting with, I've been to City Hall meeting with the mayor and with community engagement folks there, and they've got some great ideas for ways that we can get into the community so that people are aware of their new neighbor.
Excellent. Can you get us tickets to games at the minute? So, in addition to the credit enrollment, our early college enrollment of high-tech high school students is also moving ahead, and I'm expecting we'll see growth there this year over that first semester last fall. And we're planning a ribbon cutting event with Hudson County Community College and schools of technology, faculty, staff, and students, our board chair, Bill Metchard, County Executive Tom DeGise, and others in early September. And finally, on Monday, as many of you know, we interviewed the first of 5 finalists for our new Vice President for Advancement and Communications position, and the remaining 4 candidates we'll interview next week. Jen Oakley just sent college-wide a reminder of the open fora on each days and also a bio of each candidate. Each of these candidates is spending a full day on campus meeting with all of our college constituencies and our foundation board. I want to thank all of you who are involved in the various interviews. And please remind all of you, if you participate in any way, if you go to an open forum, please fill out a reaction form. So we're passing out these reaction forms at every meeting. Jen also included it on the email that just went out shortly before we convened here. Please fill out a reaction form for every candidate you meet and submit that to our office. You can give that to Jen, Alexa, or Marcy, because we want to review the input of the whole college community as we hopefully make a decision to hire a new leader in this very, very important area. I'm stopping there. I'm happy as always to answer questions, but I'll also entertain anything you want to share, announcements, concerns, comments, celebrations. Yes?
I just would like to make a comment. I would make an announcement rather, that the nursing program, we have admitted 135 freshmen. Total enrollment is 235 in our program.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Yeah.
I just wanted to do a quick follow-up. As we're now done with negotiations, the next really exciting part is talking about and starting to talk about the employee classification system. So I know that many of you are wondering, in terms of like how that works and the timeline. So I will be sending out a communication in terms of what our timeline looks like, how I would like to work with our wonderful union leadership to go through the process of looking at consultants and choosing the right one, and kind of what exactly do we expect them to be doing and what them to be doing. So that's one. And the second one, I wanted to ask yours to mention about the rotating schedule at the North Hudson campus that we're going to try to do. Yeah?
One of the things that we want to do, and Chris encouraged this, we want to make sure that we have as many people in North Hudson from the academic divisions, from the student services area. Very often we have staff working there that report to the individuals here, and very often we have students that have certain concerns, and instead of having to make the trip, but I was having a conversation with Elizabeth earlier. We're going to be talking at the Dean's Council tomorrow, so the academic area, I believe we're going to be pretty solid, but we have a fully operational office there. Anyone that you think could benefit or could benefit the college community by coming over, we'll be able to accommodate.
That is fantastic. That idea came out in some of the meetings I had recently with our counseling staff. So I appreciate that. I think that'll be a real benefit to our students there. Do you want to mention also the work you're doing on the shuttle?
Yes. One of the challenges that we have with the shuttle, shuttle. I keep on saying shadow, and they're like, what are you talking about? the shuttle service. In the past, if you go back like maybe 3 years ago, we had 4 times in which classes began, right? 9, 12, 3, and 6. So it was very simple to have a shuttle schedule that worked for everything. Now we have 8 different start times for classes. So we're, Jack is out this week, so I'm talking about, I got some feedback from different groups. I'm talking to the Dean's Council about it tomorrow to see what else comes in. When Jack comes in next week, we're gonna try to hone in to see what we could actually do. But we know that there are concerns. We want to accommodate everyone and everyone's need. I don't know if we'll get there, but we'll definitely gonna do the best that we can to do so. Thank you.
Something that revolves around both inclusion and the early college program is homeschool students. And they used to be able to take leap classes, and a year to 2 years ago, somebody can correct me, they were no longer able to do that.
Really?
So I don't know why that change was made. It's not a huge population, but just for one example, I have a friend who has 7 kids whom she homeschooled. The oldest one came here, she transferred to Montclair, she graduated, she's got a great job somewhere else. Second one came here, he's now in the Marines. He graduated Culinary, actually his picture is in your office. The third one wanted to come here and he couldn't get the leap rate. So a change was made between her oldest kids and the rest, and there are, you know, several, like I said, it's not a huge population, but we're talking about inclusion and early college. I think homeschool students should be allowed to take our classes at the early college rate.
That's a really important comment. Elizabeth, I don't know if you or anybody else have any immediate reactions.
It's something I wasn't aware
I
of
wasn't
until
either.
now, but yeah, I'll follow up with Jennifer and with AVP Wall.
And your timing's perfect, because after this, I'm doing a podcast with Chris Wall and a early college student. I'm gonna ask, I hadn't been aware of it.
Okay, and I have an announcement. Some of you already know me as the person who helped coordinate the pop-up events to help your overall wellness here on the campus. We will have more of that. We did hire a full-time exercise scientist, Karen Hosick. She starts tomorrow, which we're really excited. And we've incorporated we have a paramedic program. It's part of the Division of Nursing and Health Science. So given what's happened with the horrible shootings and whatnot, and being a healthcare person, I never feel good until I feel like I have a little bit of power. So part of my power was this past Saturday, I took a class in Stop the Bleed. And Stop the Bleed is put together by the American Academy of Thoracic Surgeons, or I'm not quite sure. It's meant for everyone. It's meant for community, and I believe it was started post-Parkland. But our paramedics down in Jersey City Medical Center had gotten a $10,000 grant to purchase a whole lot of equipment, and it's geared toward everyone. So with the paramedics, with Karen Hosick, because she's an athletic trainer, and myself, we qualify as instructors. We'll also reach out to our colleagues in health science and nursing. We have other people who, if they wanted to help us instruct, for a maybe less than a 1-hour training to give you some power back in your life in case something catastrophic happens. And you know what? These catastrophic events aren't always gunshot wounds, right? We have industrial accidents. We have all kinds of things that happen. We're a city. I've worked in the trauma center in Newark for decades, and all kinds of stuff comes through. But we cover that, and it gives you a little bit of power back. We're also going to look at maybe doing some quick instruction in hands-only CPR. It's not a certification. It's just to give you your power back as a member of the community as to some nuts and bolts ideas of what to do in an emergency. Okay, so it's not a full-blown CPR or first aid course. It's just, these are short programs that are out there. You know, I learned, one of the things I took to a refugee shelter to instruct in English for Your Health was hands-only CPR, and I was a CPR instructor a long time ago, but they had a whole kiosk in the Dallas airport where they had a mannequin. They had the whole program in the Dallas airport just to instruct people as they were walking through and waiting. So we're hoping to incorporate those two EMS type things, and then Karen and the exercise science students will help you with all kinds of aerobic activities. So we've got a lot planned for this year.
Fantastic. You know, I have to say, I just never cease to be inspired by our nursing and allied health faculty and staff and students.
Well, that's good.
And apropos of that, we had a wonderful white coat ceremony for the
Oh,
radiography program.
They did great.
Fantastic last week. Second class since it's been our program.
Right.
Really great. Ward, do you want to say anything about, you have some neat things happen like tomorrow. You want to say anything about that?
Sure. Tomorrow we are.
Got a mic there.
Tomorrow we are hosting a conference here at the Culinary Conference Center for youth 15 to 21 who are justice involved or at risk, providing them information, workshops about their opportunities, educational opportunities, work opportunities, and leadership and inspiration. We're going to have up to 400 people here, youth and adults, chaperones, every part of this building. So if you're here, you're going to see a lot of activity going on. So that's tomorrow, all day, from 9 to 3. Becomes an event.
Fantastic, and that is supported by a grant?
It's supported by a grant from the Juvenile Justice Commission that comes through the, I think the federal to the Office of the Attorney General through Juvenile Justice who administers it. And we are doing it in partnership with the Hudson County Department of Health and Human Services. So
I just really want to do a shout out to Lori and her team because they're doing so many really important things. They're bringing all kinds of new partnerships and grant funding. So last evening, Lori and Dr. Friedman thanked our partner at RWJ Barnabas Health, Lourdes Valdez, who has, you've been doing great things with them, as have others here. But the newest is they just received an $800,000 federal grant for apprenticeship training and are partnering with us. There are going to be 80 apprentices, and they've asked us to take ownership of 30 of those in our paramedic program. Fantastic.
yeah, we're very excited about it. Thank you.
Others? Do I have to call? I already did. Oh, thank you, sir.
Because it never got mentioned. And I want to mention it because we haven't done the ribbon cutting yet. But that's, we've, through Perkins, organized the Bloomberg Room. It took me a while Bloomberg to say it. I always mispronounce it, but Bloomberg Room.
I know the struggle.
I know. And, but it's in this building, it's in room 409, and it is a room that is dedicated business classroom for Bloomberg certification. And my faculty now, the business faculty, are already taking the course to get certified in Bloomberg, and hopefully we'll be able to be offering that to anybody involved with a Perkins eligible department within a college, and we'll also be incorporating it into our curriculum. But we're waiting for 7 clocks to arrive so that we can have Hong Kong, Tokyo, New York, Paris, London, and we're waiting for one more ticker tape to arrive. And so hopefully by, within a month, we'll be doing a ribbon cutting ceremony, and Dr. Lieber could be there for that as well too.
Fantastic. And is it possible, is it possible if people want to go up and see it today to do that, or maybe no? It's not ready, probably.
It's locked,
Okay.
and I would love to show you, but I have a faculty meeting where
Okay.
today too. I can't do it today, but if you call me, I'd be happy to show it to you anytime.
And then we'll do the ribbon cutting and show everybody that's going to have like.
Absolutely.
All that good stuff. And it's going to promote financial literacy, of course.
Yes, exactly, and it's also going to tie in with our finance track with business administration. Secondly, I contacted an alumni. This is through Chef Puck, who keeps in touch with all of our students, and we will be doing pop-ups, 2 pop-ups this year with through the College Foundation to raise funds, but alumni will be here for that as well too. So we're excited about that, and we also, I spoke to Chef Puck this morning because we will be featuring an alumni dish at each foundation luncheon series.
Wow.
That will, and it'll have a little bit of information on that alumnus or alumni, and it'll be their dish. And so we're looking forward to doing that as well too.
That is fantastic. I love it. Archana, would you mind just talking a little bit about the progress we've made with fully online programs and any related things you want to share?
Yes, the Center for Online Learning is happy to tell you that now we've got fully online majors, 5 of them now. We've also introduced accounting, health sciences, And we've already had criminal justice, we've already had business, we've updated those. We are doing a huge cleanup, and the last one was history. And we are really doing a huge cleanup. We are going to be offering orientation to students on a pilot basis. We'll be offering faculty orientation soon. It takes a little bit more work. We are already doing accessibility, pilot of accessibility for our courses. So the documents that you put up will be accessible in different formats to students who need it. Also students who just want to, for example, hear your lecture instead of reading it. There's a lot going on in our area. We're also offering proctoring. The proctoring and lockdown browser is going to be on a pilot mode as well. That will enable us to have more academic integrity. And also, I had a very interesting conversation with a mother of a student this summer who asked me if our courses online were being proctored, and that was the only way that that child's university would accept our credentials. So it's helping us with credentials. So yeah, that's the news from the Center for Online Learning. We are going to be having a little spot in the service day, and also hoping to have another meet and greet for the new faculty and staff. And I think Clyde Lee needs to talk about his.
I was just going to, we're thinking alike. Yes, Clyde, you've
He
got really good
he
stuff.
told me some really good news about
Yes.
some of his students and
Rockets
research
and all
and
that.
getting a prize.
Well, that's been for a few months. Okay, I would like to have a student talk about how he built a rocket. So we launched our Hudson's first rocket.
Hello, my name is Anas. I'm the president of STEM Club. We actually launched last month the first basic rocket for ACCC. We actually built it from scratch. We used the 3D printing, and actually Professor Clive Lay helped us a lot. We designed it. We used the computer labs in our school, and then we launched it. It was successful, and we are looking forward to launch for high power rockets via getting certifications, and this is our plan for this summer. Also, as a member of PTK, we are planning to get to build a prototype of greenhouse in the objective to help the culinary department to grow their own food. Yeah. And actually, I'm just taking the opportunity to thank very much Professor Clive Lee, because he was really involved with us, and he gave us a lot of support and helped me. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. That is fantastic. I mean, you really are inspirational.
And he's doing an online course.
And you know, back to online for a moment, I don't know if everybody here knows this, but we made the decision, the board approved a while ago, that for students taking fully online programs, they will they have the in-county tuition rate, even if they're not in-county. So if you're not aware of that, spread the word. And we are seeing nice growth in online, which is great. Others? Okay, well, I'll let you go then, but thank you so much. You know, it's going to be a great year. The best is yet to come. Thank you.
Good luck, Clive. That was really honored.
I know.